In Tamarack, we have a special place in our hearts for those who serve. Circumstances prevent us from gathering together this year to honor the Armed Forces members who made the ultimate sacrifice. Instead, veterans from our community share their thoughts on Memorial Day and service to our country.
Our Tamarack veterans have deployed all over the world during peacetime, during crisis, and unfortunately in times of war. Stanley PANNAMAN was a Lance Corporal in the Marine Corps and served during the Cuban Missile Crisis as well as in Vietnam. He now serves as president of the Broward Veterans Coalition and as member of Tamarack's Veterans Affairs Committee.
My family has a long history of service in the Armed Forces of the United States. I had uncles that served in World War I. My father served in World War II along with several of my uncles. My brother-in-law served in Korea. And I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1961 until 1964. And I served all over the planet Earth. I was in the Cuban crisis in missiles of October of '62. I then was sent into the Pacific. I went on maneuvers in the Philippines and in Formosa. And then 2 days after President Kennedy was killed, I was on Okinawa. We were the first combat regiment that was sent to Vietnam. People have been paying a price for freedom since the American Revolution. I knew young men that never saw their 20th birthday. They paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And I myself was hurt in 1964 and spent 18 months learning how to walk again. Memorial Day is a day that I remember people who I knew that paid the ultimate price for my freedom, and the millions of other men and women who I never met, who because of their sacrifice, I am free today.
During his 24-year career in the Air Force, Master Sergeant Mike Wilton was both active duty and in the reserves, specializing in fire protection. He was deployed twice to the Middle East, serving in Saudi Arabia and Iraq. He's been with the city for 20 years and is now a captain with Tamarack Fire Rescue.
My years of service. So I enlisted back in April 22nd of 1991, and I served a total of 24 years between active duty and reserves. When I was active duty, I was a missile maintenance specialist, and then I cross-trained into the fire protection. So I was a firefighter for most of my career in the reserve, on the reserve side. When I was active duty, I was a missile maintenance specialist. My job was only stateside. Okay. Then when I cross-trained into the reserves, I deployed twice to the AOR, went to Saudi Arabia after September 11th, and then in 2009 I was in Iraq, supporting Operation Iraqi Freedom. Memorial Day means to me is a day of reflection of the men and women that served in the armed forces, that made the ultimate sacrifice and gave their lives to defend our freedoms and our beliefs. Well, for me, it's a day of reflection to look back and to see to value what people had done for us for our freedoms. For my kids, I would always explain to them, and I would let them know what the real meaning of Memorial Day is.
Tamarack resident Dominic Gray chairs the city's Veterans Affairs Committee and is an active volunteer supporting multiple causes. This former Marine completed his boot camp at Parris Island, then served in Okinawa, Japan, and Quantico, Virginia during the war in Vietnam, working his way up to sergeant.
Okay, I served in the United States Marine Corps from 1970 to 1974, which nowadays is called Vietnam era veteran. And Memorial Day is a way for us to stop and reflect on those who were close to us, who passed away, and also those who we served with. And it also shows that long line of people who have given their all to sacrifice their time and some of them their lives, some of them their limbs for the sake of this country. I love the United States. I love what the ideals are. It's something I can get behind, and I believe anybody who is aware of their freedom and what freedom really means, it means for you to be able to pick and choose the type of life you choose to live. And in this country, we make that a priority. We want that to be what we stand for. And I'm proud to be an American, and I'm proud to have served in the military. I always think of the people I served with and the names I've seen on the walls in the memorial places that I've been to. And I can only say God bless America, and I hope that we continue to move forward even through this virus that we're dealing with right now, that we all work together for the better good and not for the worse. And if we try to do for the best and put God ahead of us, we'll be okay.
Members of the armed forces serve not only during conflict, but in times of crisis throughout the world. Tamarack City Clerk Jennifer Johnson was on active duty in the Coast Guard for almost 10 years. As a Chief Petty Officer, Public Affairs Specialist, she traveled throughout the Pacific. When she became a reservist, Jennifer helped support the earthquake relief efforts in Haiti and the response to the massive Deepwater Horizon oil spill.
I served in the United States Coast Guard on active duty for 8 years, 9 months, and 3 days, and almost 10 years as a reservist. When I finished up, I was a Chief Petty Officer. I joined in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I was stationed in North Carolina, Honolulu, and here in Miami. I was at a point in my life where I wanted something more and I wanted to give back. I also wanted to get my education, and I thought it was a great opportunity to do something that I would be able to give back to the community and do something that was really worthwhile. To me, Memorial Day means the sacrifice that all the other men and women prior to me made in order for us to have this amazing country and the freedoms that we have today. I would just like to say thanks for all the men and women who have gone before us and all of the veterans who have lost their lives. Today is your day for us to remember you, and we thank you for your service. And I see a lot of parallels between the coronavirus and serving in the military. There's a sense of teamwork, there's a sense of pulling together, and there's a sense of finishing the mission and making sure that it's a success. It's no different than what we're going through today, and we'll pull through this together.